And let's ask this question on the sketchboard because I want to find out how smart people are here at this campus. What is the average GPA here at West Virginia University?
3.5.
It's what?
I don't know, 3.5?
3.5, that's pretty good, isn't it? And so the students are pretty good here. 3.5. Now, I want you to tell me the answer to this. How do we know certain things? How can we know something for certain, in other words? How can we know things for certain? How can we verify? Okay, someone said my first thing up here. They said this, right? They said what? Science. Now, is science sufficient enough for us to know all things?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes. Philosophy.
Okay. All right. If you think science is good enough to verify all things, I would submit to you that it's not. And this is why. Hear me out before you talk over me. What is the scientific method? What is the scientific method? What is the definition of science? Since everybody here has told me, not everybody, but most of you, have said that science is good enough to verify all that we know that's true, I need someone to give me the definition of science.
The bookstore right there, there's a library right down there, it's very easy to get.
I already know the definition. I want to see if you know the definition. All right, well, science is the discipline of knowing things through observing and measuring things in repeatable experiments. Correct? It's the discipline of knowing things by observing and measuring things in repeatable experiments. Okay. Can you observe and measure the laws of logic?
Yes.
Have you ever seen a law of logic? Have you ever smelled a law of logic? Have you ever tasted a law of logic? No, you have not. You see, the laws of logic cannot be verified by the scientific method, but yet we know they exist. Therefore, the scientific method is limited. It's a limited way of knowing things. Now, I know we're leaving the age of the Enlightenment. We're going into the postmodern world now. At least a lot of people are trying to stuff us into the postmodern box. But listen, science cannot verify all things that we know are true. For instance, I gave you the laws of logic. And it's funny, but when you do science, you have to use the laws of logic. So you're using something in science that you cannot observe or measure. You're assuming that the laws of logic are valid when you do the scientific method. Okay? So science is limited. Science is limited as far as it goes with the laws of morality. You can't see a law of morality. You know what I mean? How many here think it's wrong to lie? Okay? Now some of you probably say it depends on why, but let me ask you, would you like it if someone lied to you? If someone lies to you, they're disrespecting you as a fellow human being. You know what I mean?
Upset.
What? If you guys can move in, so I don't want to yell. I don't want to be like the rest of the shouters, but I want you to hear me, so I have to talk loudly. But listen, science cannot verify laws of morality. Science cannot verify the laws of logic. So science, the sacred cow of the universities in the 21st century, listen, in the past, the fathers of science did not think that the empirical method was the only way of knowing things. You know that? They did not think that. Now look, the fathers of science, most of them believed in this. What am I going to put on my board? Religion. How many religions are there in the world?
Who knows?
It's boggling, isn't it? It's mind-boggling. There's so many religions in the world. How do we know which one is right? You got Judaism, You got the yin yang. You got Islam. You got Christianity. You have all these religions. How do people know that a religion is true?
Faith.
By scientific method? No, listen. I'm here to tell you today that faith is a valid way of knowing things. Faith is a valid way of knowing things. Does anybody have a history book here? Political science, that has some history in it, right?
International relations, great class.
Let me see. How many here believe this textbook?
I do. I have to use it.
My friend believes it here. How do you know that it's true? Anything that it says about history, how do you know it's true?
It cost me $100, that's how I know.
Because it costs you $100? Look, anything we believe about history that we have not seen ourselves, we believe by what? We believe it by this right here. We believe it by faith. So, if we believe history by faith, does that mean we should just get rid of history classes? You know what I mean? Should we not study history because, you know, we can't prove it in a scientific experiment?
Josh.
I don't think so. Look, but I'll tell you this, faith is only as good as the object of your faith. Now we're in West Virginia, it gets pretty cold here, right? It gets pretty cold here. Does anybody here ever do this? Now I know I'm not really the greatest artist in the world, so I'll make an attempt at this, but does anyone ever do this right here? What is my friend doing? What's he doing? He's ice skating. Now listen.
Running.
Faith is only as good as the object of your faith. If you decide you're going to go ice skating on a ½ inch of ice, what's going to happen? The foolishness of your faith is going to come to light when you come crashing through the ice. Faith is only as good as the object of your faith. Now if you went ice skating on 3 feet of ice, would it hold you up? Yes. It depends on how heavy you are. Not you. I think it would hold most people up here. 3 feet of ice can hold a lot of weight. Now listen, if you believe that the ice would hold you up, the object of your faith would be pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Now, what I'm saying to you is that science is good, but it's limited in knowing things. For those of you who were not here, most of the students said that science was the only way we could know things, for sure. But what I told the students was this: science is anything you can observe or measure in a repeatable experiment. But in order to use science, you use the laws of logic. Can you see the laws of logic? Can you observe them? Can you measure them? No. You assume the laws of logic when you do the scientific method. And therefore, science is limited in verifying all things that we know and use. We use the laws of logic, we use laws of morality. Even though we can't see these things, we assume that they exist. I'm going somewhere with this, don't worry. Now listen, because the sacred cow of the universities in the United States is, the only way we can know things for sure is if we can observe them and measure them. And then they have the audacity to use the laws of logic, which they cannot observe or measure, to use the scientific method. Do you guys understand my argument here?